100% every year or 300%. It really has, in a sense, just grown in increments for 32 years. Some years a little slower than others. This year's been a really good year here in Australia, but the point is that you just keep doing what you do for 32 years, and it's amazing where you find yourself.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All three of you travel the world. Looking ahead, the next 10, 20 years of church life, what trends do you see that are perhaps new trends in church around the world? And what are the ones you really like, and what are the ones that you're watching cautiously?
If you don't mind me talking first, I mean, I think that the most negative thing I see in the church today is what I've alluded to in that message I just gave, and that is the nasty, caustic attitude of some people, particularly in America, just firing bullets at other pastors and other leaders, and feeling totally self-righteous and so self-justified in doing it. And that ugly side of Christianity that you see particularly on social media, I just think the tragedy is so far away from the true heart and spirit of Jesus Christ, you know. So, I think what I love is churches are more and more relational. Our movement's been, I think, very relational for a long, long time, and I love that. And if I look globally, if I look at America, I see, back in the day it used to be the man and the staff he hired, whereas these days pastors have become so much more relational with the whole art movement, they're much more like the spirit of ACC, I reckon. So there's some good things happening.
I think there's some really significant changes taking place in the size of congregations. I think that the respect for smaller congregations is rising, and the hunger for smaller congregations is rising in the community to fight traffic and go big distances. For a lot of people, is no longer something they want to do. And in America, I see a lot of big empty churches. They're the most at risk. They're living in an old model and just can't downsize or stand the idea of having congregations of 200, 300 people around the place. I think that is a trend we've got to accept, that hunger for community and not just being in a crowd. And to accept that and to encourage the pastors who are faithful with their flocks of 100, 150 and 200, because they're doing a magnificent job. And I don't think we should cheapen them by making them feel any less than the mighty heroes of our movements because they got a lesser number. I think they're doing an incredibly good job. And so I think that's one, that's one area that
James, Western society in particular is becoming a very personal world. And I think if we as pastors don't recognize that, and we only, even with our buildings, only focus on the worship space and not the fellowship space, and if we don't give our people a sense of belonging, if all we do is from a stage, and it's not also engaged in relationship, I think we're going to miss some incredible opportunities, because crowds don't fix loneliness, relationships do. And I think we need to, be very wise as we watch this 21st century unfold. People have got 1,000 Facebook friends, but nobody to talk to. And we need to be very, very intentional in creating the opportunity for people to relate to each other. On a global scene, sorry, mate, have you got something to say on that? Jump in.
I was just going to say, I think, like with that smaller community thing, it's important that they are connected, though, to a larger situation, rather than just being independent and out on their own, because that kind of loneliness is terrible for a pastor out there who does have a smaller congregation. But if they can allow themselves to be satellite, and there's not so many apostolic churches around, but they have a life in them that's a fountainhead that can nourish all these communities and congregations. And so I think if pastors can lose that independent isolation thing and allow themselves to maintain a connection with a heartbeat that's bigger than them, that flows into their world with all kinds of fresh life. So
I tell our church, we're not a big church, we're just a small church with a lot of people. Because, and when we talked about church about being personal with persons, because people get the idea of just this massive crowd. But these days, with our churches and multi-campuses And so you say, well, look, it's a big church, I can't relate to that. Hillsong Conference got over 20,000, I can't relate to that because it's a small church. But these days, I'm leading a big church, but within that big church, I'm also leading lots of small church. Some of our extension services, some of our pioneer new plants, and so on. So, I think you can sometimes say, well, I can't relate to him because, they're part of the big church. We've got the challenges like you, aspects of our church, but small. They're trying to build something small and make it bigger. I love small churches. I can promise you, I love small churches, and I'm 100% for them. Sometimes I don't like the mentality of people who want to go to a smaller church for selfish reasons. So, because it's all about me, and like you say, I have to fight in the car park and so on. And I think that's sad, and I think that's big churches aren't friendly. I think that's a myth. I think even you and I could find friends in a big church because there's so many of them going around. And so, it's just the mindset sometimes. But I just think there's room in the kingdom for everything.
I think it has